Okay, well, I can hear you crying.
Well, then why don't you come out here and check on me?
I'm in bed. I'm literally in bed.
Hi, I'm Jody, a relationship therapist based in Southern California. We are continuing our Love is Blind series today. I'm going to be talking about Madison and Joe. Madison and Joe. Theirs is probably not going to be as long. Basically had like pods them and after pods them. It wasn't as much of a progression. It was just like the same thing that kind of just continued. With them in the pods, no major concerns. I don't really remember anything too memorable about them besides for she has this like degenerative eye disease. It has a great chance of becoming legally blind in the future. The theme of Love is Blind, does attraction matter? Is it unconditional kind of thing? You know, they kind of hit this on like the 2 points where one of the other components that happened, first kind of major red flags were Joe did not find Madison attractive, supposedly, like when he met her at the reveal.
It seemed like I was kissing a stranger.
Really started to have this storyline. Is that going to matter? Is that going to be enough to continue their relationship? They had that component going on, as well as the degenerative eye disease for her. Is that a factor? He said that it wasn't. It didn't really come up a bunch of times. I would like to believe him on that it didn't really matter to him because it wasn't something that came up, unless it was something that like he felt uncomfortable saying or kind of really was just eating away at him. Who knows, would he have put up with that if he did find her as more attractive and wanted to spend his life with her? But again, I think it's very easy to overlook. There's this thing like we all want to kind of believe if my partner had that, I would love them. But it is really something to ask ourselves. It's you want to treat those people well. When we do have an illness, you could be hit by a car tomorrow and paralyzed, and if you're in a relationship, what happens then? It is important to have these direct conversations. What would that be like? What kind of accommodations would we have to make? How would that affect our quality of life? How much caretaking needs to happen? Because that can also be a really hard dynamic for couples is, you know, when there is caretaking and chronic illness present, it can be a major stressor, and being open and honest about that and having deep conversations about what's really coming up for you. Of course, we want to pretend we're these nice people, and I'm not saying we're not. It's not nice to act like there's nothing wrong if it is something that's causing us distress, and to be honest about what we can really commit to. It'd be even worse to say, hey, I can do this, and then when it finally happens, they really need us, is that we abandon them. That was that component, and they didn't really kind of continue on too much on that one. You saw little moments where at the resort when clearly it was nighttime and she had a little bit of a harder time seeing, but other than that, it didn't really come up too much after like some of those initial conversations that I can remember. Then you had the attraction component of, again, like, is Joe finding her attractive? That is the oldest thing, is like, does that matter? I find that have to be the hottest person you've ever seen, but you have to at least find some attraction. I don't know why he would not have found her attractive. I mean, we all have our flavors and things that we are attracted to, so there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. And it seems like he kind of was trying to some degree. They definitely were sharing that they were being physical and intimate with each other, so, you know, maybe he was trying, or is that just he wanted to get some? I don't know, but it did seem like he was kind of trying to some degree, and so, you know, I give that to him. To be honest, I don't have much bad to say about Madison because I thought she was a really nice person, a very sweet and innocent person. It's just more so maybe the type of people she's getting kind of drawn to. She was kind of putting her best effort there, and I definitely think Joe was causing a little bit more of the damage between them. There's a link and a kind of reason for all the things. My main concerns that kind of were coming up with Joe, besides for the attraction piece, was there was also like some troubling behavior with how he handled things. You kind of really started seeing it when they went to the resort. You know, they would have these kind of like get-togethers with like all the different couples. Joe a couple times would be kind of like the bully in the group. He kind of would take on like that macho guy where it's like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, make fun of other people. I'm gonna be one like yelling things across the bar, and it just really wasn't bringing out like his best self. That was definitely a little concerning with his drinking. And then when that day he was trying to say he wasn't even drunk, but he literally had to leave the party. He didn't even know what was going on when Madison tried to wake him up. It was just definitely a little concerning. And then he was kind of being a little gaslighty there. What are you talking about? Okay, buddy, let's at least own that we were drunk. That was a little bit cringy to watch how he was behaving, and Madison was just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm worried about you, as she should be. He didn't even really know where he was or what was going on. That is definitely a concern. You've seen this a couple times. There was like a part where he was also in his personal interview kind of bullying Nick a little bit, and it just wasn't a great look for him. That kind of continued, culminated in like the tux fitting, where that's where he finally had his whole meltdown, ended up fleeing the scene. I can understand the tux fitting is where things become really real. Probably a lot for him, especially when he's already having doubts and he's like, maybe I don't want to do this. But it's kind of clear he doesn't really have a lot of skills in dealing with his emotions, and he doesn't manage them well. It's, again, we're allowed to have our feelings, but it's like the lack of communication, the kind of lashing out, kind of being a is not the best look. I'm sure he did his best and was trying to make the relationship work out, hit it with a dose of reality when he actually saw Madison, who is in no means an unattractive person, just I guess not a match for Joe. This was not a surprising one. As soon as you saw that reveal, you're like, uh-oh, this is gonna be probably a problem. Does looks matter? Doesn't have to if you can get past it, but are most people going to get past it? Not necessarily. I think it's a little bit tricky. That was Madison and Joe. It was a kind of a train wreck the entire time. Once they left the pods, they're not going to work out, and that's probably for the best. All right, stay tuned for the next one.